Hello, Team Arrow. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining us on our Back to Basics call. This is now week 3. So last week, the first week we really wanted you to identify your why you're doing Isagenix. And we used the Michael Claus episode 11 video from his podcast for you to really think about what you really want out of life and what your dreams are, what your goals are. And in this business, identifying your why is so important because that's what keeps you going. That's what drives you. So that was week 1. And then week 2, we talked a little bit again about having a solid why, but not just a solid why of some of your dreams and goals and why you're doing this, but also being very crystal clear on why you have chosen Isagenix as the vehicle, and that you're able to communicate that. That's a part where I see people struggle, or it just sounds kind of all over the place. And so last week was all about really thinking about why Isagenix, being able to talk about that, and then also working on how to share your story. And we talked about how your story should be, they say 30 minutes when we go, not 30 minutes, 30 seconds when we go to UIA. We really work on getting it down to 30 seconds. And it's kind of one of those things where you should be able to tell your Isagenix story in an elevator, right? You meet somebody in an elevator, you should be able to share your Isagenix story with them in 30 seconds. And keep in mind, this is like a first impression, right? Especially for a brand new person, if you're connecting with the person for the first time, those 30 seconds are so crucial. They're either going to decide that they want to learn more and they want to communicate with you, or they're going to decide that you're crazy and want nothing to do with you. So important. But I would say definitely within a couple of minutes. You don't have to tell them everything in that meeting or in that encounter, but enough that it creates enough curiosity for them to want to learn more. And then, of course, exchanging information. And you always want to be the one that has the information, not the other way around. I've seen and heard people say, "Oh, I gave them my phone number." Like they're never going to call you, but you get their information. And I always go through social media. That's my go-to on connecting to people. So then now the next part, if you're following the ISA Life Success Plan, starting on page 22, it's all about who do you know. So this is about making your list. Who is on your list? And every single one of you should have a running list of who you want in your business, who you think you can bless with our nutrition, and more importantly, or the most important, who would be on your dream team. And if you don't have a current list now, I recommend that you do it again. And the best way that I have found to write a list is to think of 10 networks in your life. So for example, high school, church, work, graduate school, elementary school, your kids' school, maybe a running group that you belong to, maybe your neighborhood. So think of 10 networks in your life and then write 10 names in those networks. I think that's a really easy, efficient way to come up with a list. And then once you have that, go back and think about how you want to connect with those people. Hold on, I'm just going to name everybody real quick. So go back to that list and kind of think like, okay, how do I want to connect with this person? And all of them, not all of them, but some of them will be quite different, right? Like if you haven't seen somebody in 10 years and all of a sudden you reach out to like go to dinner, that might be a little bit random, But if you haven't seen them in 10 years and they're your Facebook friend and you've been wanting to kind of reconnect and just tell them how much you love the pictures of their kids or their wedding pictures, or you love that European vacation they took, then that would be the way that you connect with them. It's always so, so important that you are authentic in how you connect with people, and that it never feels like you just copied and pasted a message and sent it to 100 people. There's like nothing worse, and I've been on the other end. There's nothing worse than receiving a very generic message that is clearly copied and pasted to 100 people. Like, people are just not going to respond to that. So I really believe that there is value in taking the time to make it really individualized. Now, with that said, so some of the ways for you to think about how to connect with people. So Facebook, social media is a good way, an easy way to just, send a quick message, compliment them in what's going on in life. And again, it's not that you're like faking it or just trying to get them to sign up. It's more of, I think a lot of us do this, where we'll go through social media and we'll have thoughts about pictures that we see, but a lot of times we don't like it or comment on it, especially if we haven't seen them in a long time. So it's more of like, when you have that thought, take the extra step and like their pictures or comment on their pictures or message them, make it a private message and say, oh my gosh, I just wanted to say, like, I love your wedding pictures. It's so good to see you so happy. Or, oh my goodness, I love your pictures that I saw from your honeymoon. What was your favorite place to go? It's kind of like just taking the extra step on connecting with them, but always being authentic. Don't fake it. Okay, so you have your 10 networks. And then when you're thinking about those 10 networks and those 10 people in those networks, ideally, the best thing that you can do is recruit or really paint the vision for the most influential person in that network. Because what will happen then, like, let's say that there's this mom at school that is just like, she's the mom that plans all the parties. She's the room mom. She's the mom that when there's a job at school, she's the first one to do. Like, this is a very influential person at school. That's who you want to recruit, and that's who you want on your team, because what's going to happen is naturally then she kind of becomes the leader of that network, and she probably can recruit a lot of other people in that network, and then you're already basically helping somebody develop their own business. So this now becomes the leader of like your school network, if that makes sense, or recruiting the most influential person that you remember from high school. Like, who's the girl that everybody kind of did whatever she was doing? Like, Laura always talks about how Kelly Dickerhoof could literally show up tomorrow in a bright purple hat and say nothing, and in the next 72 hours, everybody would go and buy that purple hat because that's how influential she is. She's that girl where she doesn't have to say a whole lot, but whatever she's doing, people want to do. Whatever she's wearing, people want to wear. So that's an amazing person to have in your Isagenix business. No wonder that Kelly Dickerhoof has 200,000 people in her downline, right? That influence has definitely helped. So even if you don't feel like you're the most influential person, who are the people in your life that are influential, and really getting them to see what Isagenix can do for their lives. So again, when we go back to week 2, it's so important that you can clearly communicate why Isagenix is the vehicle, why this company and this opportunity is worth their time. And then how you share your story, I kind of already said this, will vary for everybody. Another super easy way to kind of come out and build your Isagenix business is on social media, in the sense of sharing what you're doing in Isagenix on Facebook and on Instagram. the best things that I have seen are when people start documenting and sharing their Isagenix transformation from day one on social media, whether they're thinking about building a business or not. That is a great way for people from day one to follow you and see what you're doing. And people are going to join you. It's inevitable that they will join you. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself as a new business builder, or for someone else who's starting to build a business, is to really help them share their Isagenix transformation and their Isagenix story from day one on Facebook. Now, I can't stress enough to make it interesting and to make it individualized to you. There are so many people on Facebook and on Instagram selling something these days that it's really hard to really kind of make yourself different. If you are literally sharing a picture of you with a shake every single day, that's going to get old, right? People are going to wonder what you're doing with a shake your first time, but by day 3, they're going to be over it, and they might be unfriending you or just altogether stop following you because they're going to think that's annoying. So make it interesting. You will never see me. I can't remember the last time I shared a picture of a shake. I probably should at this point because I kind of sometimes forget that I should be showing some product. But for me, it's all storytelling. It's all, and definitely I choose to focus on business because I want business builders, but it's all storytelling, story sharing, sharing transformations, but always sharing the story with it. So just think and get creative on how you want to share on social media. And of course, right now it's all about the stories. I'm not there yet, so I'm not a good example of it, but those people who are really sharing their Isagenix business and stories, they're getting a lot of traction. So it's definitely a very good way to go. Now, what happens with social media is that becomes your storefront. So don't think that just because you start sharing on social media, you're going to have everybody sending you messages and wanting to know what you're doing. Sometimes they will, especially if you have an awesome before and after transformation. But the way that I see social media, especially in this day and age where we're at now, is it's basically your storefront. Like, social media is telling people, I have a business. I am open for business. When you are ready to make a healthy change, when you are ready for an easy, convenient breakfast, think of me. When you're ready to lose 10, 15 pounds, think of me. So again, when you're choosing to share things on Facebook, think about what are the people in your network, what are they looking for? I think really going back to like sharing how easy and convenient our breakfast is, like everybody can identify with that. Not everybody wants to lose weight, but I don't know anybody that loves to spend 30 minutes making breakfast for their family in the morning. I think everybody can benefit, if nothing else, from an easy breakfast smoothie for the whole family. So I think like going back to that. And then if you're out running errands, how quickly and easy it is to just grab a bar instead of pulling into the drive-thru. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we have used a bar and it has saved us from making bad decisions. But social media is your storefront. It tells people that you have a business, and it gives people a lot of background information so that the next time they see you in person, they can say like, oh, hey, I've been meaning to ask you, what are you sharing on Facebook? What's that all about? Or, hey, like, I saw that you share that transformation. Oh my goodness, tell me more. So a lot of times what's happened to me is people have not necessarily asked me what I'm doing on Facebook, but the next time I see them in person, they'll say, oh, hey, so do you have a nutrition business? Like, what's that all about? So it just gives enough information for people to ask me what I'm doing. Now, the other non-negotiable that I think everybody should be doing, even brand new product users, is that everybody should be scheduling a sip and sample within 2 weeks from starting Isagenix. This is something that I wish we focused on and pushed more on as a team. Anna and I have had a lot of conversations about this. There's definitely a lot of Isagenix businesses that they literally, like, you get signed up for Isagenix, and that moment they're already saying, okay, how about 2 weeks from now? Can you have a party at your house? We'll invite all your friends. We can tell them all about Isagenix, and we can get your products paid for. But making it very like procedure, like this is what we do, instead of making it all weird, or instead of being like, oh, do you want to do the business, da, 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 like really, again, like people want to be told what to do. And I have seen this with so many network marketing companies. Like I bought jewelry from this new network marketing company like 2 weeks ago, and right away, like literally the next day, she sent me a message and she was like, oh, it was so nice chatting with you, and I can't wait for you to get your jewelry. Hey, let's schedule your own party in the next 10 days where we can show all of your friends this amazing jewelry, and you get credit for, the people that sign up. And I can send that message, what that looks like on TV. It was very clear to me that this is what this business builder does with her jewelry business. Like as soon as she gets a new client, she's already scheduling the next party with that client. And I think that we can all do that with Isagenix, because if nothing else, our focus can be, hey, let's get you some accountability partners. Let's get you some people that can get healthy with you. And hey, when they do that, we can get you your products paid for. So that's not scary. That's not you're building a business. That's accountability partners, get your products paid for. So I think that's something that we can really focus on. And then this becomes your coming out party, because you invite a bunch of friends and you never know who from that is going to use the nutrition forever and who's going to become a business builder. That's how I ended up coming into Michelle's business and Catherine's business, because I went to a sip and sample. I signed up that day, and literally in that moment, Laura scheduled my sip and sample, my next one. And I had my own 2 weeks later when I was absolutely not interested in the business. And I told her that, but Laura made it very like, this is what you do. Okay, in 2 weeks, we're going to do a party at your house. You invite your friends, and let's help them get healthy with you. And I just did it. I didn't even question it, because she made me feel like that's what everybody did. So I think that's something that we can definitely work on. So the other way to connect with people, so this would be like when you're looking at those 100 people, really picking out like your dream team. Like, who are the people that you feel like, gosh, I would love to build a business with them. Like, I really want to have a business meeting with them. These are the people that I would encourage you to have a coffee date with, a wine date with, a one-on-one with, and just very business. And even when you're scheduling the one-on-one, make it clear that you want to talk business with them, that you are starting a new business and that you want to talk to them about it. If that seems kind of scary, then you maybe want to handle it more like a play date or really a lunch date, but just know that you're going to bring it up. And that's been so much of Michelle Palazzo's success, is that she did that from the beginning. She was so intentional to schedule play dates and coffee dates with her dream team, and to really have those one-on-ones with people, and to tell them like, hey, I watched my friend Laura do this. I want to do the same, and I want to bring you with me. She had that conversation with my best friend, Catherine. They were at the Rancho Bernardo Winery, and she was one of the first people she talked to. And Catherine said, like, I am so busy. There is no way I can add one more thing to this, but Sonia would be really awesome at this. And so that's when my name was first brought up, and even though Catherine's not a business builder, she brought me in, and that has helped Michelle so much. So I think just, again, treating it like a business. Like if you were going to open up a business and you were looking for business partners or you were looking to hire staff, how would you treat that? You know, in a very professional way and not making it weird. And again, it's so much about your posture. It's so much about how you present. And I think that so often what happens is that people are so wishy-washy and they're so uncertain and they don't really 100% commit, and the other person can feel that. And so they're not going to join somebody who's like, well, let's see what happens. Like nobody wants to be somebody's experiment, right? But if you are so sure of yourself, and if you're like, I've watched my friends build incredible Isagenix business. I've seen them change their lives, and I want to do the same. Come with me. Just having that posture and being so sure. And I know my posture from day one after I decided to build this business was, I'm doing this. You're either coming with me or you're not, but I'm doing this with or without you. And so much of why some people joined me in those beginning days was because they were like, well, just in case this is like a thing, I don't want to miss out. And that was Anne for sure, you know? So just remember your posture is so, so important. And what builds that, again, just always staying plugged in. Are you always listening to podcasts? Are you always showing up to every event that you can? I mean, here I am 4 years later. I still have days when I'm not sure how I'm doing this, why I'm doing this. And what do? Instead of backing off, instead of shutting down, I plug back in. When I start to feel that way, I know that what I need is to get to an event, plan an event. Sometimes I plan events to recruit myself back in. Like that's like, I believe, like so powerful, right? Like there are moments in my business, in my days where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like how can I do this? Or what's next? Or how do I, you know, what am I going to do to build more, bring more people in? So what do? I plan a Donuts and Dreams and get 40 people in my house and hear their stories, and hearing all those people and hearing everybody share their transformations. And again, having myself share the story, I'm going to put myself back in. But the worst thing that you can do is to shut down, back away, stop getting on phone calls, because then it's over. It's over, you know? And I was talking to about this to Anne the other day. I've seen a lot of people come and go in Isagenix in 4 years. It's just the way network marketing goes. But I have never had somebody tell me that they stopped building Isagenix because they didn't believe in the company, or because they didn't believe in the products, or they didn't believe in network marketing, or they didn't believe in the compensation plan. Do you know what it always comes down to? Why people quit? Does anybody want to guess, other than Anne, because I've had conversations with her? Why do most people quit? No one? They don't believe in themselves. That's what it comes down to. It's never because, oh, you know what, the products don't really work, or, oh, I don't believe in Isagenix, or, you know what, I really dug into that compensation plan and actually I don't think it's very good. It's never about that. Like if it was those things, I would be like so concerned and I would be like questioning, you know, what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. But in 4 years, it has always come down to the fact that people stopped believing in themselves, or they never did. They never did. They were trying to, and they never did. And why did they stop believing in themselves? Because they stop plugging in. Because if you keep going to events, if you keep getting on podcasts, if you stay connected to our community, there's no way that you don't keep believing in yourself, you know, and there's no way that you can't be fired up. Like there's no way that anybody who came to Donuts and Dreams went home feeling like, meh, I don't know if this is worth my time, you know, like I feel like every single one of those events, every single one of those phone calls, anything that we do, it just fires you up. So the best thing that anybody can do is just to stay plugged in, keep getting on the podcast, keep getting on the phone calls, keep going to events, and make sure your people do the same. Okay, so that's that. Now your homework for this week is to write your list of your 10 networks and 10 names in each network. So there should be a total of 100. And I want everybody to schedule at least one sip and sample in the next week. It doesn't have to be your own. It can be somebody that, like, it can be like a new prospect or a new customer or a happy customer that's loving Isagenix. I just wanted to give you guys some action steps of, okay, do you have a current list? If you don't, I want you to go back and write your list of 100 people and schedule a sip and sample, because every single one of us, if nothing else, probably has at least a happy product user that can do a sip and sample. Schedule at least 2 one-on-ones with those potential dream team people. So that's something else that I really want you guys to think about. And lastly, and probably the most important, is to start inviting your potential dream team people to the Super Saturday that's coming up on November 2nd. I really, really want you guys to utilize that Super Saturday. Trudy Maples is just absolutely incredible. There is no way that people that you bring aren't going to be fired up after hearing her speak. So please, please, if nothing else, in these next few weeks, invite people to that Super Saturday. Have those people bring people, because there's nothing better than training one person at a Super Saturday. What would be even better is that that person also already comes with their own team, right? Like, how awesome if you can have one new person bring 2 new people and they already have those 2 people that they're going to be running with. So the focusing on the Super Saturday is so, so important. Okay, we are out of time. Does anybody have questions? And just remember, this phone call is recorded. Any questions or comments?
Do you want me to stop recording? I have a question.
Oh, sure. Yes, that's
Recording?
good.
After we stop recording?
Yes, you can stop.
Okay.